Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like the lady yesterday, the mama mboga with the big knife. That was just, I mean, to me, I was like, this is inspiring. Even if I don't end up writing about this someday, it's still funny. So it just it gives you a heightened sense of what's going on around you. One of the, you start to notice people's quirks. So like, I work in ICUs mostly, and the head of our cardiac ICU is a very nice lady. She's very senior, and so she has this little thing of, she'll come to the ICU with espressos, and she just serves everyone a little bit of espresso every single day, and then this is like the boss lady of the ICU, and when I was thinking about my next book, so now this one that's coming out, but the fourth book, I told her, you know what, I'm gonna write about you, because it's just so interesting that you have someone who's like the senior most person in the unit, and she's walking around. So if you're a new person, you're like, who's that lady? Handing out espressos. Oops, that's the boss lady. And so I think you start to notice things around you, and like I said, even if they don't show up in a book, they're still exciting. It makes life interesting. My matatu ride yesterday was just interesting, phenomenal. Big knife, yeah. Yeah.
I've not met, but we've spoken. Engineer Sam Mwita is my name. How are you, Doc?
Very good. Nice to meet you, finally.
I met Susan, and I'm Elizabeth and Michael.
Okay.
So I was really excited about this book. In my old age, it's like I've fallen in love with the books I'm reading them. Mine was a science thing, so it was the calculus and all that. But I think this one now, mathematically expressed, it's coming out with that answer where you say QA being quite easily done. And like the work of an architect, where you start off a foundation and finally a house completed. So it's a piece in its own way, where you find some good, well-built house, and it's like, wow. So I've been taking part in promoting the book somehow. And you guys, and been very excited. So right now I'm imagining whether it would go to the next level, the vernacular translation, because over time some of the languages are going to be just overwhelmed and overtaken and they vanish. But for the good landing of the book is that it gets the roots translated into the vernacular, where it is played, like Kikuyu, Ostrich Mountain. Sometimes it may look like, okay, yes, we don't love ourselves. But I've seen somebody like Duncan Dewa, he has written books, but of late, in his sunset days, he's doing it in Kikuyu. And I'm a translator of Kikuyu, so I could take a few chapters. And I think it would come out, that kind of literature would be like, wow, this is what is happening. And congratulations, because it encourages us who have written a book and the rest of them to say that if it has been done, they can do it. So without much ado, I would say it's an excellent piece. It excited me. I didn't know the next one was coming. And I complained about the next one because my heroine disappeared without notice. So I had to call you and ask what happened. And I learned the French one, c'est la vie. That's about life. So I said, okay, if it's about life, then let it be. So, which is the next book? I hope it's coming sooner. And when I introduce the book to some few people, then they will say, this there, and put down about some of the words I didn't know. I did science. So it's very interesting. And I think whoever has not read it is missing what is to be missed. So thank you for coming over, even interacting with us. I've been running here and there, but finally, thank God I've caught up with you. So, salute you.
Thank you. Yeah, and nice to meet you because we've corresponded, but we are meeting for the first time in person. But yes, I think that a Kikuyu version would be great. I would rely on people like you that my Kikuyu is okay, but not to write a novel. So I think that definitely that's something that we should consider working on, because I think that it also captures the essence of that particular story. So I'll definitely be looking into that. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't say something.
Okay, so my question is, do you have any advice for young writers and young readers?
Yes, I do. I think what I would tell you as a young person is it's easy to follow the trend. The crowd is going this way and this is what people are writing about, but write your own story, because it's your best story is your own, not somebody else's story, not somebody else's style. And so that would be, in a nutshell, that would be my advice to you.
His question earlier, would you have audiobooks in like Swahili or Kikuyu?
Wow, that would be a challenge. So I do have some audiobooks available. They're English. Actually, the audiobooks, what I learned in the process of the audiobooks was that I didn't realize how many cultures I write about. The average American author just writes in one, the regular American culture. There's no variation. But I found when I was writing my, getting people to audition for my audiobooks, having someone who was able to read the American parts okay, and then when you're talking in the village and you're talking about Mwangi and they're doing this and that, and then there's also the Scottish person or the English person. I found that that has been one of the biggest challenges. The second book, even though it was based in America, they had different accents. There was someone with a Caribbean accent, there was someone with a Spanish accent, there was a Jordanian guy. And so actually the person that did this was really good with accents. I had identified it from the first one. Although the funny thing you find with accents is like when I listen to the Caribbean accent or the Jordanian accent, I'm like, oh, he really nailed it. When I hear him now describing describing Ketura Omondi now, who's the Kenyan character, I'm like, So, but I think it's because I think everybody would think that, I think even a Caribbean person would be like, what's up with this guy? So that's just a warning. If you come across the audiobooks, don't be too harsh on the guy that did, because you're not going to like. I didn't particularly like how he did Ketura Omondi, but I think he's a great guy with accents. And unfortunately, I can't find, it's impossible to find someone who does all the accents. I had some great readers who, when they got with Ostrich Mountain, when they started describing the village scenes, we were just like, no, not really. Now doing an audiobook in Kikuyu, again, I think that's a great challenge. Maybe what we'll do is start with the actual book, because that's what the audible reader would do. And obviously, if there was an audiobook in Kikuyu, then this would be the primary. This is where the reader would come from, and this is likely where the audience would come from.
So, sorry, reading through your book, so I noticed both of the books are medical centered mostly. 10,000 Rocks, medical, The People of Ostrich Mountain Part 2. So, is it that it's only easy for you to write when you add the medical aspect in your books, or you could even write something entirely of medical, like Part 1 of Ostrich Mountain? I really loved it. Wambui, I don't know why you didn't want to take her to the university.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Hazel hasn't read it. Yes.
I'm really sorry.
It's okay. It's not a crucial piece of information.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could. So my question was, you could also write something entirely different from medical stuff.
Yes, yeah, and I think part of the thing with with Ostrich Mountain, number one, you kind of write about what you know. I used to have a professor when I was here at the University of Nairobi who was, he was a kidney specialist. Unfortunately, he passed away. Very brilliant nephrologist. He passed away during COVID. But this professor, you would ask him anything, any problem, starting with the eye, starting with the blood sugar, starting with the toes, it would always end up in the kidney. Like he always had a way to kind of bring it to the kidney. And so I think for me, there's definitely, with Ostrich Mountain, I'd say that because of Ray's character and coming to the United States through the process of residency, because that's the lens with which I settled into the United States. That's kind of where I experienced, that discrimination in the course of the residency program. So I felt like I was uniquely qualified to write about that rather than speculating about how it would manifest. So yes, definitely in that one, I think the medicine was necessary. Now in 10,000 Rocks, there were a couple of things that were important to me. One of the things I was experiencing at the time when I thought of 10,000 Rocks is just with the way the medical insurance system is in the US, I was feeling a lot of frustration because they have people in the insurance companies who will block what you're doing. They haven't even seen the patient, they block what you're doing. And so it was almost an effort to kind of just get that off my chest. And kind of like, okay, you insurance guys, now I'm gonna make you the villain, So I think with 10,000 Rocks, it was definitely heavily leaning towards medical situation. I'll tell you about Place of Cool Waters, which is the third one. I had said, okay, no hospitals, nothing whatsoever. There's a couple of brief episodes in the hospital that are crucial to the story, but I really, I was making an effort to kind of limit the hospitals. I think just like, like I was saying with my late professor, the story kind of finds its ways because I find some of the drama of life involves medical problems because that's what I've seen. I work in an intensive care unit and sometimes I'll see people who woke up that morning and they were going to work or something like that, and then now they're on their deathbed and it just kind of happens like that. And so it kind of informs your life philosophy. So I think for me, I'm making an effort not to include medicine where I don't have to, but just given that this is the space in which I live, I think there's going to be some of it. I hope it's not too technical to discourage people, but I think it also adds flavor because, for example, if somebody, I remember the old writers like John Le Carre or whoever, these were people who worked as spies, so their stories are basically, based on that. And so if John Le Carre tried to write a medical novel, it probably would not go down very well because that's not the exposure. So I think that, yeah, some of it will come out, but I hope not to bring out more than needs to be done.